My name is Lerato Shadi. I'm a visual artist, performance, video and installation. I was born in Lotlhakane, grew up in Lotlhakane until I went to live with my mother in Clarkstop. And then after that, I moved to Joburg to study hospitality management, and 6 months before completing, I started studying fine art. Then I finished fine art and started working in Joburg. I think how I describe what it is that I do is that I use my body and I use time as an element and I use labor as an element. And those get represented visually in what it is that I do. For example, I've done a work where I sat and blew balloons for 6 hours, where I breathed out into the balloon, where for those 6 hours I only breathed out into the balloon. So it was no breathing out into the space. Or a recent work where I sat for 6 hours, again with no breaks, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. because that's generally a full working day, minus tea break and lunch break. So sitting for 6 hours, no tea break, no lunch break, no water break, and just knitting. And that was a way of representing then the carpet after 10 days of knitting, which is 60 hours of sitting every day for 6 hours with no break. Then you get a 12-meter carpet at the end, and then the carpet becomes a monument to silent labor, a sort of monument to unrecognized lives, and also a way of talking about how those silent lives and silent labors make it possible for us to have spaces of exclusion and spaces of privilege. So education is very important. I think without my degree, I would not be where I am today. I'm currently completing my Masters in Fine Art at Kunsthochschule Weissensee, Berlin, and I'm really loving it. I love that in Berlin I can just walk into a university, go up to the lecturer and say, I'm not registered here, can I sit in your class? And they say, yeah, sure. So I love that Germany has free education and the accessibility of that education. I think, especially for the moment, what drives me is the idea that there isn't enough stories about people who look like me. I think the Black female narrative and the narrative of marginalized people needs to be more normalized. And so hence the idea that my voice matters, my voice is important, is sort of what drives me. And I really love a quote from Audre Lorde that says, it's not our differences that divide us, it's our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. So thinking around that is that, yeah, I have a right to be in the spaces that I'm in, and I have a right to have the voice that I have. But having said that, everyone else has a right to be in that space and have that voice. And I want more voices. I'm really, really hungry for more voices that are not in the center. So I think that we really need to recognize and acknowledge and celebrate each other as much as possible.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.